In this video, we're going to take a look at formatting a chart. We need a chart to format, so let's select the data that we did in our previous video and make it into a chart. So we're going to do a clustered column chart, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to move that chart to a new worksheet, and you can call the worksheet whatever you want to. This is the only one that we're going to be putting in here, so I'm just going to click on New Sheet and click on OK. And there are a couple of reasons I like to do this. First of all, it makes the chart pretty much fill up the whole work area here. It will also, if I want to print the chart, it will print the chart on a page all by itself, and it usually looks a little bit better if you do it that way as well. So I'm going to put it on a separate chart, or on a separate sheet. And then we're going to take a look at the Design tab. When you have a chart selected, you've got two tabs up here, a Design tab and a Format tab. And actually, you know, those two terms sound pretty similar to me, but we'll this is what Microsoft calls Design, and this stuff over here is what Microsoft calls Formatting. So if it's not on one tab, check out the other tab. The first thing we're going to look at is this button here that lets you add a chart element. And you know, we've already got the axes selected. If I move the mouse over them, it removes them. I've got axis titles. No, I don't have axis titles yet, but I can add them. So I want a primary horizontal, and I also want a primary vertical. And let's go back here. You can also choose where you want the title for the chart to be, and normally I choose above the chart. I don't think you should select none very often. You should always have a title that describes what the chart is displaying. You've got options for data labels that will simply put the numbers on the chart somewhere in the bars or near the bars. And normally I don't do that because, you know, the main reason for doing a chart is to get away from the numbers, so people can just look at a picture instead of having to digest a bunch of numbers. You can put a data table down there, and again, I don't see much use in putting the data table down there because it just adds more numbers to your chart. You can do error bars, which really don't make a lot of sense with this chart. You can add grid lines if you want vertical grid lines here to separate your vertical groups of data. You can also add primary, you can do minor horizontal ones here on, and they're pretty light, and they may be kind of hard to see in a video, but there are lines here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 lines in between each major line, and it doesn't really make much sense to have those in here on when we're just dealing with whole numbers like we are here. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to turn off those minor horizontal grid lines, and then you've got choices over where to put the legend, and I'm going to leave it over there on the right side. There's a quick layout button here that gives you a bunch of predefined layouts. You know, some of them have titles. I guess they all have a title. Some of them have a legend, some of them don't. Some of them have labels on the bars, some of them don't. Some of them have you know, a data table down at the bottom. So they've tried to kind of cover some common options here, so you can just click on one, and you know, it'll automatically set a number of elements for your chart, so you don't have to do them individually. We've also got some options here to change the colors, and this will do a live preview. If I pause the mouse, I actually like the first one the best, so we'll just leave it like that. Monochromatic I recommend staying away from because everything is basically the same color and just different shades of the same color, and in general it makes it a little bit harder to read your chart. We've also got a bunch of chart styles up here. These are just some predefined styles for your chart, and this does a live preview. Looks like you get about a dozen or so of them, and be careful about doing something like this if you're printing the chart, because you'll spend a fortune on black ink if you do. I like this one. The colors are a little bit brighter, so we'll go with this one. And you've got some options to switch the row and the column data. If Excel gets confused And in this case, we want a column of data to be a series. All the numbers in column B are the blue bars. All the numbers in column C are the red bars. If I wanted my series to be made up of rows, then everything in row 2 would be the win and the loss for Iowa, and then the win and the loss for Ohio State, and so on. And if I click on this just to change it, this is what I get. It's the same data, but now here's a bar for Iowa, and here's a bar for Iowa. Here's a bar for Ohio State, and here's a bar for Ohio State. So instead of grouping them by team, it's putting all the wins on this side, all the losses on this side, and that actually makes for a chart that's pretty hard to read, so we'll switch it back. If you select the data incorrectly the first time, you can go back here and change it. Although you'll probably realize you selected the data wrong immediately after it shows you the first version of the chart, and you can probably just go back just as easily and fix it that way. You can change the chart type here if you want, and I'm going to have to click on these to get a preview. You can do a stack column where it puts the bars on top of one another. And it looks like, I'm guessing that the teams here that have the taller bars went to a bowl game, and the teams that have the lower bars here did not. You can also do a 100%. Be careful about this one. This basically shows you everybody's wins and losses as 100% of their season, and so every bar is going to be exactly the same height because we've got 100% for everybody. So be careful about that one. There's also a 3D clustered column chart, and we'll actually take a peek at this one here. In general, I'm not a big fan of 3D charts because they kind of have a tendency to distort the data a little bit sometimes. So here's what we get, and I'm not sure why, but Microsoft thought the chart would look cooler if we tilted the left edge away from you a little bit. So that's what they do here. And what we're going to do is we're going to fix this. I'm just right click on the background here and then choose 3D rotation. And I'll get this format chart area over here. This used to appear as a dialog box. Now it appears over here on the right side. And this is the option I want right here, right angle axes. And if I click on that, it squares everything up. It's still three-dimensional, but now you're looking at the bars head on instead of at an angle like we were before. So you can also mess with the rotation on the X and the Y here, and you can play with that if you want to, but in general I'm happy with what I've got right here. And that pretty much takes care of the options on the Design tab. In the next video we'll take a look at the options on the Format tab.